My name is Jordan Mitchell. I'm 29 years old, and 3 months ago, I sat in a conference room in Austin, Texas, watching my banking app refresh with a number that didn't look real: $847,000. The acquisition of my stupid little app, the one my father had mocked at Thanksgiving 2 years ago, the one my brother called a hobby for people who can't get real jobs, the one my mother said I should abandon to focus on something stable, had just closed. And in that moment, staring at more money than my entire family had made in the last decade combined, I made a decision. I opened my auto pay settings and canceled every single recurring payment I'd set up for them: the mortgage help, the car payments, the insurance premiums, all of it. Gone. And when my phone started buzzing 30 minutes later with panicked texts, I did something I'd never done before. I smiled and turned off my phone. But I'm getting ahead of myself. You need to understand how I got here. How a family that spent years telling me I'd never amount to anything ended up financially dependent on the person they'd written off as the family failure. And how, when they finally realized what I'd built, it was already too late. I grew up in a working class suburb outside of Houston as the youngest of three kids. My older sister Emma was the golden child: nursing degree, married young, three kids, the picture perfect daughter who did everything right. My brother Kyle was the son my parents always wanted: joined the military, came back, and got a union job as an electrician, bought a truck, fit the mold perfectly. And then there was me, the weird kid who spent too much time on computers, who wanted to study app development instead of something practical, who didn't fit any of their expectations for what success looked like. My father, Mike Mitchell, managed a hardware store. My mother, Carol, worked part time as a medical receptionist. They'd both worked hard their entire lives and had very specific ideas about what real work meant: physical labor, visible results, stability. My fascination with technology and startups was to them as foreign and frivolous as saying I wanted to be a professional juggler. When I told them at 18 that I was going to study computer science and wanted to build apps, my father laughed. Not a supportive laugh, a dismissive one. Apps? Like Angry Birds? Jordan, that's not a career. That's gambling. Get a real degree, get a real job, build a real life. I went to community college because that's what we could afford, worked full time at a call center, saved every penny, taught myself to code at night using free online resources, transferred to UT Austin on scholarship, graduated with minimal debt, got a job at a tech company in Austin making $58,000 a year, which my family saw as okay, but not great. Kyle makes more than that with overtime. Everything was always compared. Everything was always found wanting. The app idea came to me 3 years ago. I was frustrated with how difficult it was to coordinate group expenses: splitting bills, tracking who owed what, settling up. I'd tried every app on the market, and they all sucked. Too complicated, too many features, not intuitive. So I started building my own. Simple, clean, did one thing really well. I worked on it nights and weekends for 8 months, launched it quietly, called it Settle Up. Within a week, I had 100 users. Within a month, 5,000. Within 6 months, 50,000. The growth was organic, word of mouth, exactly the kind of validation that made me think maybe, just maybe, this could be something. I was excited, naive. I told my family at Thanksgiving dinner 2 years ago. So I've been working on this app. I pulled out my phone to show them. It helps groups split expenses and track shared costs. It's really taking off. We just hit 50,000 users, and I'm getting interest from investors. My brother Kyle looked at my phone for about 3 seconds. So, like Venmo? Not exactly. Venmo is for sending money. This is for tracking shared expenses in groups: roommates, trips, couples, clubs. It's a different use case. My father set down his fork. Jordan, how much money are you making from this? Right now, about $1,500 a month from the premium version, but that's growing, and with investment, $1,500? He laughed, actually laughed. You're working a full-time job and spending all your free time on something that makes $1,500 a month? That's not a business. That's a side hustle at best. My mother jumped in, her voice that particular mixture of concern and condescension. Honey, I just don't want you to waste your time. You have a good job. Why risk that on some app that might not work out? Emma and Kyle have stable careers. You should focus on moving up at your company, not getting distracted. Emma nodded along. Mom's right. I mean, it's cool that you have a hobby, but you need to think about your future. What happens when this app thing doesn't work out and you've wasted years? That word, hobby, they kept using it. Like what I was building, this thing that tens of thousands of people were actively using, was equivalent to collecting stamps. But Kyle's comment was the one that really stuck. He leaned back, took a sip of beer, and smirked. Honestly, bro, it sounds kind of dumb. Like, who needs an app to figure out who owes what? Just use a calculator. This is the problem with your generation, making apps for things that don't need apps. The table laughed. All of them. My father, my mother, my siblings, even my brother-in-law, laughing at my stupid little app. I didn't argue, just pocketed my phone and changed the subject. But something shifted inside me that night, a quiet determination. I would prove them wrong, not by arguing, by succeeding so undeniably that their mockery became obviously absurd. What they didn't know, what I didn't tell them because they'd made it clear they didn't care, is that I wasn't just building an app, I was building a company. I'd incorporated, filed patents, started talking to venture capital firms. Within 3 months of that Thanksgiving, I had a term sheet for $500,000 in seed funding at a $3 million valuation. I quit my job, went full time on SettleUp. My family's response when they found out? My mother cried, actually cried. Jordan, how could you do this? You had a stable job. What are you going to do for health insurance? What if this fails? My father was angrier. This is irresponsible. You're 27 years old acting like a teenager with a dream. You need to grow up. But here's what they also didn't know. Even as they were telling me I was making a mistake, I'd started quietly helping them financially. Not because they asked, they were too proud, but because I could see they were struggling. My father's hours at the hardware store had been cut. My mother's part-time work didn't cover much. They'd refinanced their house twice and were barely making payments. Kyle's union job was stable, but not enough to support his wife and 2 kids comfortably. Emma's nursing salary was solid, but her husband had been laid off. So I started sending money, quietly. $800 a month to help with my parents' mortgage, $400 a month to Kyle for groceries when I knew money was tight, paid for Emma's kids' school supplies and Christmas presents, set up a fund that paid my parents' car insurance automatically. Over 18 months, I'd sent them approximately $32,000. Never mentioned it at family dinners, never brought it up when they continued to question my choices or mock my app hobby. Just quietly kept their lives stable while they openly doubted mine. Why? Partly because I loved them, despite everything. Partly because I felt guilty for having money when they were struggling, and partly, honestly, because some broken part of me still thought that if I helped enough, they'd finally see my worth. The app grew. By the end of year 2, we had 500,000 users. We raised a Series A round, $5 million at a $20 million valuation. We had revenue of $40,000 a month and growing. I was paying myself a salary of $90,000 a year, which was less than I could have made at a tech job, but enough to live comfortably while reinvesting in growth. My family's reaction to my success? Silence. They didn't congratulate me, didn't acknowledge it, because acknowledging it would mean admitting they'd been wrong, so they just didn't talk about it. When people asked what I did, my mother would vaguely say, "Oh, Jordan does something with technology in Austin," and quickly change the subject. But they had no problem accepting my financial help. The money I sent kept flowing. And here's the thing that really got me. They started expecting it. What began as me quietly helping became them assuming I'd cover things. My mother would text, Jordan, the AC broke. Can you send $1,200 for repairs? Not, can we borrow or we'll pay you back, just, can you send? Kyle would call, hey man, truck needs new tires. Can you Venmo me $600? No thank you after, just expectation. Emma would message, kids need new winter coats. Can you grab them? Here's the links. 50, 60, $80 coats times 3 kids, plus boots, plus snow pants. I said yes every time because I'd been trained my whole life that saying no to family made you selfish, that family helped each other, that my success meant I had an obligation. But nobody ever asked how my business was doing. Nobody ever said they were proud of me. Nobody ever acknowledged that the money I was sending came from the stupid app they mocked. Then came the conversation that changed everything. It was last Christmas. The whole family was together at my parents' house. I'd driven in from Austin, brought expensive gifts, paid for groceries for Christmas dinner. We were sitting around after the meal, and somehow the conversation turned to money. Kyle was complaining about expenses. Emma was stressed about her husband's job search. My parents were talking about how hard it was to keep up with everything. My father sighed heavily. I just don't know how we're going to manage next year. Everything keeps getting more expensive, and we're already stretched thin. There was a pause. Then Kyle looked at me. You're doing pretty well, right, Jordan, with your little app thing? His tone wasn't curious. It was pointed, almost accusatory, like my financial stability was somehow an affront to their struggles. I'm doing okay, I said carefully. Okay? Emma laughed. Come on, you've got that startup money. You must be making bank. The company's doing well, but I'm not making bank. I pay myself a modest salary so we can reinvest in growth. My mother jumped in. Jordan, we've been meaning to talk to you about something. Your father and I, we really need help with the mortgage, not just the monthly payments. We need to pay down the principal, or we'll never get ahead. We were thinking if you could help us with maybe $20,000 or $30,000, it would make such a difference. I stared at her. $20,000 or $30,000? Well, you have it, don't you? Your app must be worth something. Mom, I've been sending you $800 a month for the last 18 months. That's over $14,000, plus the car insurance, which is another $3,000, plus all the emergency expenses. I've given you over $30,000 in the last year and a half. The room went quiet. My father frowned. What are you talking about? The mortgage help, the auto pay I set up for your insurance, the emergency money, all of it. Where did you think it was coming from? My mother's face flushed. You never said anything. Because every time I tried to talk about my business, you shut it down. You called it a hobby. You told me I was wasting my time, but you had no problem taking money from it. Kyle laughed uncomfortably. Come on, man, don't be dramatic. We're family. Family helps each other. You're right, family does help each other. So, when was the last time any of you helped me, or even asked how I was doing, or showed any interest in what I'd built? Emma's eyes narrowed. Oh, here we go. The whole nobody appreciates Jordan routine. We're happy for your success, Jordan. We just don't think you need to rub it in our faces that you got lucky with an app. Got lucky. That phrase hung in the air. Got lucky, as if the 3 years of 16-hour days, the sacrifice, the risk, the skill, the execution, all of it was just luck. You think I got lucky? I said quietly. Well, yeah, Kyle said with a shrug. Right place, right time. You can't really take that much credit. Tech stuff is a crapshoot. My father nodded. That's what I've been saying. It's not like you worked harder than anyone else. You just happened to make something that caught on. That's luck, not skill. I felt something cold and final settle in my chest. You actually believe that? Don't take it personally, honey, my mother said. We're proud of you. We just don't want you getting a big head. And honestly, with how well things are going, you shouldn't be upset about helping family. That's what your success is for, taking care of the people who raised you. There it was, the real belief. My success wasn't mine, it was theirs, a resource to be extracted, and I'd never earn their respect, no matter what I achieved, because they'd already decided my achievements weren't real. I stood up. I need some air. I walked outside into the cold December night and called my best friend Marcus, the only person who'd believed in me from the beginning. They think I got lucky, I told him. They literally think the last 3 years were just luck. Jordan, Marcus said carefully, you know it wasn't luck. You know what you built. But you also need to ask yourself, why are you still trying to prove something to people who refuse to see you? He was right. God, he was so right. I'd been so focused on making them proud that I hadn't noticed they were never going to be, because being proud of me would require admitting they'd been wrong, and that was something they'd never do. I went back inside, sat down at the table. Everyone was quiet, awkward. Clearly, they'd been talking about me. Jordan, honey, my mother started, we didn't mean to upset you. How much do you think Settle Up is worth? I interrupted. They exchanged glances. I don't know, my father said. A few 100,000? We're being acquired. The deal closes in 3 weeks for $12 million. The room went dead silent. You could hear the clock ticking in the kitchen. 12 million? Kyle's voice cracked. Dollars? Dollars. My equity stake is worth about $850,000 after taxes and fees. The stupid little app you laughed at is worth $12 million, and I built it while you were telling me I was wasting my time. My father's face went through several expressions: shock, disbelief, and then, oddly, calculation. Jordan, that's incredible. This changes everything. We should talk about. You're going to ask me for money, I said flatly. Well, no, I mean, we're family. With that kind of windfall, surely you'd want to help. Help? Like I've been helping for the last 18 months, except now you care because the amount is bigger? Don't be like that, Emma said sharply. We're your family. We supported you. You mocked me, all of you. You called my work stupid. You told me I got lucky. You've taken over $30,000 from me without a single thank you. And the only reason you care now is because you found out there's more to take. That's not fair, my mother said, tears in her eyes. We love you. We've always supported you in our own way. No, you haven't. You've tolerated me and used me, but you've never actually supported what I chose to do, and I'm done pretending otherwise. I left that night, drove back to Austin, and over the next 2 weeks, before the acquisition closed, I did something I should have done months ago. I documented everything. Every Venmo payment, every auto pay setup, every text asking for money, everything. Built a complete financial record of exactly how much I'd given them and when. Then I called my lawyer. Can my family claim they're entitled to any of my acquisition money? She laughed. Not unless they're shareholders, which they're not. Why? Just checking. The acquisition closed on January 15th. $847,000 hit my account after all deductions. I sat in my apartment staring at my banking app, feeling nothing but cold clarity. I opened the auto pay settings, canceled the $800 monthly mortgage payment, canceled the auto insurance payment, canceled the small recurring transfers I'd set up for Kyle and Emma's kids. All of it. Gone. Then I texted the family group chat. As of today, I'm no longer able to provide financial assistance. The automatic payments have been canceled. You'll need to handle your own expenses going forward. I wish you all the best. I didn't explain, didn't justify, didn't argue, just stated the fact and turned off my phone. When I turned it back on 2 hours later, I had 43 missed calls and 67 text messages. I skimmed them without opening the threads, just read the preview texts. My mother, Jordan, what are you talking about? Why would you do this? We need that money. Kyle, bro, seriously? You just got almost $1 million and you're cutting us off? What the hell? Emma, this is so selfish. We're your family. You owe us. My father, call me immediately. This is unacceptable. We need to talk about your responsibilities. Cousins I hadn't heard from in years. Hey man, heard about your success. Congrats. Also heard there was some family drama. Want to grab coffee and talk? Friends of my parents. Jordan, your mother called me in tears. I'm sure there's been a misunderstanding. I blocked my parents' numbers, blocked my siblings, left the family group chat. Then I opened my laptop and started working on my next project. Because here's what they didn't understand: the money wasn't the point, the success wasn't the point. The point was that I'd built something real, something valuable, something that mattered, and I'd done it while they were telling me I was wasting my time. Their opinion of me was never going to change, so their access to me needed to. The fallout was spectacular. Within 24 hours, the mortgage payment bounced. My parents' bank sent them an overdraft notice. The auto insurance payment failed. The policy lapsed immediately since it was already overdue. Kyle's account, where I'd been auto sending $400 monthly, didn't get its expected deposit. My mother started calling from different numbers: random relatives, family friends, her work phone. I let them all go to voicemail. Then I listened to the messages. Jordan, please, your father and I can't make the mortgage payment. We'll lose the house. How can you do this to us? You're being incredibly immature. We're sorry if we hurt your feelings, but you can't punish us financially because we weren't effusive enough about your app. We're your parents. We raised you. You owe us. That last one got to me, not because it made me doubt my decision, but because it revealed exactly how they saw parenthood: as an investment they expected returns on, a transaction, not love, not unconditional support, an investment. Kyle's messages were different, more aggressive. You know I've got kids, right? You're really going to screw over your nephews because you're having some kind of breakdown? Grow up, Jordan. Family takes care of family. Emma tried guilt. Your niece asked why Uncle Jordan doesn't visit anymore. What am I supposed to tell her? That her uncle got rich and decided he's too good for us? But the message that really stood out came from my cousin Ashley, who'd always been kind to me. Hey, Jordan, I don't know what happened with your family, but I heard some things and I wanted you to know. I always thought what you were doing was cool. I'm sorry they didn't see it. You don't owe anyone anything, including them. Be proud of yourself. I saved that message because it reminded me that I wasn't crazy, that my hurt was valid, that saying no to exploitation wasn't selfishness, it was self respect. 3 days after I cut them off, my father showed up at my apartment in Austin. I watched him through the door camera, standing in the hallway, looking older and more tired than I remembered. He knocked, waited, knocked again. I didn't open the door. He left a note. Jordan, we need to talk. What you're doing is tearing this family apart. Call me. I threw the note away. A week later, my mother tried a different approach. She sent a long email. Subject line: from your mother's heart. I almost didn't read it, but morbid curiosity won. Jordan, I'm writing this because I know you won't answer my calls. I need you to understand how much you're hurting us. Your father and I might lose our home because you decided to withdraw your support without warning. Kyle is struggling to feed his children. Emma is stressed beyond belief. And all because you're mad that we didn't appreciate your app enough? I raised you to be better than this. I raised you to care about family. But you've become so focused on money and success that you've forgotten what really matters. I don't know who you are anymore. The Jordan I raised would never abandon his family when they needed him most. You have $850,000. Can't you spare even a little to help the people who gave you life? I'm not asking for much. Just help us get back on our feet. After that, if you want space, we'll give it to you. But please don't let pride destroy this family. Love, Mom. I read it twice. Then I wrote back one paragraph. Mom, I gave you over $32,000 in 18 months without being asked and without receiving a single thank you. I helped when you didn't even know you needed it. I supported you while you mocked my career and told me I was wasting my life. And the moment I stopped, you called me selfish. You say I've forgotten what matters, but you've never bothered to learn what matters to me. You say I'm focused on money, but you're the ones who only care about my success now that it's profitable. I don't need every penny, but I do need self respect, and I won't get that by continuing to fund people who see me as an ATM, not a son. I hit send and blocked her email. A month passed. Then, too, the family crisis they'd warned about didn't happen. My parents didn't lose their house, they just had to actually budget and make the full payment themselves, which they'd been avoiding by relying on my help. Kyle picked up overtime shifts. Emma found a new job. They all adjusted to living within their actual means instead of the inflated lifestyle my subsidies had enabled. But they didn't adjust to me being gone. That, apparently, was harder. I heard through Ashley that the family narrative had split into two camps. Half of them thought I was a selfish monster who abandoned their struggling parents. The other half quietly thought I was taken advantage of, but wouldn't say so publicly because my parents were good at playing the victim. Ashley herself called me one day. Your mom's telling everyone you stole money from them. Stole? I almost laughed. She's saying you took advantage of their investment in you, that they helped you start your business, and now you won't share the profits. They didn't invest a penny. I actively told me not to do it. I know, but that's the story now. You're the ungrateful son who succeeded because of their support and then cut you off. Let them tell that story. I have the bank records if anyone actually wants the truth. But nobody did ask for the truth, because the truth was complicated and uncomfortable. It was easier to believe the simple narrative: successful son abandons struggling parents. That story had a clear villain. The real story, family exploitation disguised as love, required acknowledging things nobody wanted to acknowledge. 6 months after the acquisition, I moved to a better apartment with floor to ceiling windows and a view of Ladybird Lake. I bought nice furniture for the first time in my life, started angel investing in other people's startups, paying forward the belief that someone had shown in me, started traveling Japan, Portugal, Iceland, places I'd always wanted to see but put off because family might need me. I also started therapy because cutting off your family, even when it's the right decision, still leaves scars. My therapist asked me once, "Do you think they'll ever understand why you did this?" "No," I said. "They'll never admit they treated me badly, because that would require seeing themselves as flawed. It's easier to see me as selfish." "Does that bother you?" "It used to, but I'm learning to be okay with being misunderstood by people who never tried to understand me in the first place." That felt like progress. Around month 7, something unexpected happened. My brother Kyle called, not from someone else's phone, from his own number, which meant I hadn't blocked it because I'd forgotten he existed in the chaos. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Jordan." His voice was different, quieter. "I know you probably don't want to hear from me. You're right. I just, I need to say something. Not because I want money, not because mom and dad asked me to call, because I owe you an apology." I waited. "I was talking to my oldest kid the other day. He's 6. He was showing me this drawing he made, and I was on my phone, barely looking at it, and he got upset, said I never pay attention to the things he cares about. And it hit me. That's what we did to you, your whole life. You were showing us things you cared about, and we were on our phones, metaphorically, or actually mocking you. And then we took your money without even thanking you. That's that's really messed up, man. My throat tightened. Yeah, it was. I don't expect you to forgive me or come back. I just wanted you to know that I see it now, what we did, and I'm sorry. Why now? I asked. Why see it now? Because I've been living on a tighter budget, and it made me realize how much you were actually helping. Made me sit down and look at my bank statements. Made me add up all the Venmos you sent me over 2 years. Jordan, it was almost $15,000. I never thanked you once. Not once. I just expected it. And that's awful. We talked for 30 minutes. He didn't ask for anything, didn't make excuses for our parents, just acknowledged what had happened and apologized. It didn't fix everything, didn't undo years of dismissal and mockery, but it was something. At the end of the call, he said, "For what it's worth, I showed my wife your app. We use it now for household expenses. It's actually really useful. You were right. We were wrong. About all of it." After we hung up, I sat on my balcony and cried. Not from sadness, from relief. Because Kyle's apology proved something crucial. The problem wasn't me. It had never been me. Some of them could see it when they tried. Most wouldn't. But at least one person had looked in the mirror and admitted the truth. That was more than I'd ever expected. I'm writing this now from my home office, overlooking downtown Austin. It's been a year since I cut them off, a year since I chose myself over obligation. And here's what's happened since. I angel invested in 6 companies. 3 are thriving. 1 will probably fail. 2 are too early to tell. But I'm building a portfolio and reputation as someone who actually understands what early stage founders need, not just money, but belief. I'm working on a new app. This one's about habit tracking with a social accountability twist. I'm funding it myself. No outside investors yet. Just me building something because I want to, not because I need to prove anything. My net worth is around $1.2 million now, between investments, savings, and my condo. At 30, I'm financially independent, not rich enough to retire, but secure enough to take risks. I talk to Kyle occasionally, brief texts mainly. He's trying. That matters. My parents have sent 3 more emails through relatives. I haven't responded. Maybe someday I will, but not until they're ready to acknowledge what actually happened, not their rewritten version where they're the victims. And my stupid little app, the one they mocked at Thanksgiving, it's now used by over 2 million people. The acquiring company kept the brand. They just announced a major expansion. And on their About page, in the Our Story section, there's a line. Founded by Jordan Mitchell in 2021, Settle Up solved a problem millions of people didn't know they could fix. My family laughed at my stupid app, said it was a waste of time, a hobby, luck. And for a while, that app paid their bills, kept them stable, gave them a cushion they didn't even know they were using. Now, now it pays my bills, funds my future, proves every single day that I wasn't the failure they saw. I was the success they couldn't recognize because it didn't fit their narrow definition. To anyone watching this who's been the family disappointment, the one whose dreams get mocked, the one whose success gets diminished, I want you to hear this. You don't owe people access to your life just because they're related to you. You don't owe them your money, your time, or your peace. And you definitely don't owe them the chance to rewrite history once your stupid idea becomes profitable. Family is supposed to be the people who believe in you when nobody else does. If they don't, they're just people you happen to share DNA with, and you're allowed to treat them accordingly. My family laughed at my stupid app, used the money it made, then got mad when I stopped paying. That's not love, that's exploitation. And the day I recognized that was the day I finally started living. Build your stupid app, chase your weird dream, prove them wrong not by arguing, but by succeeding so completely that their opinions become irrelevant. And when they come back asking for help, remember, you tried to give them that help when it came with respect and love. They rejected it. What they want now isn't help, it's control. You owe them nothing, not an explanation, not a check, not a second chance to diminish you. You owe yourself everything.